So, good morning once again. Thank you for joining today's session on Wisenet audio system. So, in this session, we will see it in two parts. One is about the system itself. What are the features? Second thing, we will see how to design for your project. The first part, what are the features of Wisenet audio system? Okay. Now, firstly, this is IP speaker system, which means it is powered over PoE. Each speaker will have an IP address. Just like your IP cameras, you can consider IP speakers to have the same level of intelligence. Okay. So if we compare the difference between analog and network, so in analog, there are multiple components required to make a public address system or an audio system. You will require basically, you will require power source, you will need amplifiers, you will need pre and post amplifiers, you will have audio music player as a separate item, you will need external power supply as a separate item, then the cabling impedance calculations you have to take into consideration. Then overall troubleshooting can be also a headache because when a speaker goes down, you cannot in the system, it is not addressed. So you will have to physically go and check each speaker to figure out which one is not working. So all these kind of challenges exist, and also the learning curve is very complex when it comes to understanding the analog public address or audio system. Okay. Next, when it comes to IP, it's simple, just like cameras. Every speaker can act independently and it can be powered from the switch. So that means you can expand as you want, and or you can start small and you can expand just by adding more speakers and connecting additional switches. Then there is no requirement such as having a separate power supply source. There's no requirement such as, okay, I need a music player. Each speaker can have its own built-in memory. You can upload your songs. You can stream directly from the internet music as well if you require. Then uh, simply you don't need additional power cable. That is one. Next, monitoring of the system is simple. Every speaker you can remotely sit in the office and check which one is working, which one is not working. So overall, network speakers are gaining attraction because put it this way, I mean, when you have the project, it's one or two speakers, it's okay. When you have a large project, the whole wiring concept, the whole backend becomes very complex with the analog system. Okay, so with large systems and even small systems, IP speakers are simple. Next, okay, what are the components or what are the products that is available from Hanwha Techwin? Is four types ceiling type. Okay, let me go back to the other side. The ceiling type, flush mounted speakers, the box speakers, horn speaker for outdoor, then pendant ceiling speaker. So pendant speakers are for retail markets where you need good aesthetic design. So you will see in coffee shops, restaurants, you will see these kind of speakers, pendant speakers. Okay. Then we have microphone option for live announcements that uh, you can issue from the control room. Then we have audio server. This is optional. We will see it. Then we have audio module to convert existing analog speaker to IP speaker. Again, we will see that in the coming slide. So in short, a traditional analog speaker will require multiple cables, require amplifiers, controllers, and music players, whereas an IP speaker system, everything is in one. It's all in one device. Inside the speaker, the controller exists. Inside the speaker, the music player exists. The speaker is powered or PoE, so you don't need additional amplifiers. Okay, so it's all in one device. Then, uh, what traditionally people use speakers for to give announcements? You can have scheduled announcements. Maybe you can pre record the announcement and then play it on a certain time, or you can also use the PoE microphone to make live announcements. But if you notice, you can also zone. We will see that you can group speakers. You can have automatic announcements scheduled at different times, and this it has 100 watt. Please clarify. Okay, I have a question, but I did not get it fully. Then the same speaker you can also use for playing background music. And how you upload the music, it has an SD card. Sorry, it has the built-in memory of 1 GB, and also you can insert SD card, so you can upload all the music to one speaker. From that, rest of the speaker can play that same music. And you can play in different groups, different zones, different music, different times, different music. You can schedule that. Next, you can also have text to speech where you can type in the announcement. The system will create a programmed voice, a computer generated voice in English, and then it will announce it for you. So that can also be done. So, like I said, the speaker looks has aesthetically different shapes. One of the shapes is the pendant speaker, which is unique for our brand. Black color, white color. So all speakers come into color format, and yeah, so any environments you can use these speakers. So here we go: black, white, ceiling, or you also have a box speaker. So this is a picture of a black color horn speaker used outdoor. So the speakers can be used even indoor as well as outdoor. Okay. Now when it comes to power, they are PoE based. That means you have to give PoE to power it. Okay. I will check your question, Ahmed. I remember this point from analog days, but let me double check in the IP how it is. Okay. And one more thing, these speakers are for public address or background music or announcements. However, some of you might be thinking, can I use it for fire alarm? This is not a fire alarm rated speakers yet. Okay, so you cannot replace this for voice evacuation system. So that is different. Okay. So here we go, PoE or PoE plus. So if you have more, if you need more coverage, for example, a traditional speaker, let's say of this wattage and 96 dB can cover 10 meters. You can go with PoE plus, you can go 15 meters. So you can get 50% more coverage if you can provide additional PoE plus power to the same speaker. So you can switch in the speaker web page. You can go to the web page and you can change the mode, PoE or PoE plus. Yeah, so here you can see that in the monitoring interface, you can monitor the output level from the speaker. If there is no output, then you know the speaker is down. You can also have it integrated with the CCTV system. So if the camera detects an object based on analytics, it can send a command or through the VMS to make announcement on the speaker. Or you can also do dry contact, which means from the camera you can plug a dry contact to the speaker, and the speaker will also make the announcement based on the alarm input. Okay, does it have a mobile app at the moment? No mobile app yet for the speaker part. But it's a good point. I think I can make a request about this and see how we can get it done. Okay, next one is how do you configure the speaker system? First, you have to identify what is your speaker number of speakers in the project. If you have up to 256 speakers, you don't have to buy a separate controller. The controller will be in the speaker itself. So one of the speaker, you can change it as a controller mode. Okay, and so if you see closely on the picture, controller mode, one of the speaker will act like a controller mode. The remaining speakers will be as speakers. Okay, whereas if you have more than 256 speakers, you have to buy a controller server. The rest of the speakers as will be working as a general speaker itself. Okay, so how do you manage the system? We can go to the web page of the speaker, and then from the web page of the speaker, you can control the entire system. Okay, you go to the web page of the controller mode speaker, and then you can control the entire system from one location. Okay, from one web page. Next, all right. Next is zoning of the speakers. So you can also have zones, which means you can have 5 speakers in one zone or 10 speakers in one zone, and then you can press the zone 1 button and then send a signal or live announcement or play the music for zone 1. So you can group speakers. Okay. Okay. Next is storage. So each speaker has a built-in storage of 1 GB. You can expand up to 32 GB. Audio module. Audio module. This is something. If you have existing analog speaker, if you already have some existing speakers, you can plug the audio module to the analog speaker, and then you can have control over it and over the network. So you can convert it to an IP speaker using the audio module. So in summary, there are multiple features. It is all-in-one device. It supports two PoE or PoE plus. You can use text to speech, which means you can type the message and you can make announcement using computer voice. And you can also monitor the speakers. You can easily scale the project. And if you have just a 5 6 speakers small project, you don't have to buy expensive hardwares and backend system. You can use directly one speaker. Your speaker system is ready. If you have just 2 speakers, you can just connect it to the PoE and you have a speaker system ready. Okay, integration, you can integrate existing analog speakers if you want, and you can also connect the speaker directly to a SIP phone. Maybe for example, you have, if you want to dial to the speaker and then speak, make announcement, that also is possible. You can integrate with SIP phone, and scheduler is there. Internal storage, external storage option is also there. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Speaker mode, and we will see controller mode. Speaker mode. In the speaker mode, the speaker you can control from the web page. That's okay. You can play background music. You can also make schedules. You can adjust the volume and other things. That's okay. In the controller mode, one of the speaker will become like the main controller, will be the master. Okay, and that master speaker can be again controlled from the web page, and this master speaker will be now responsible for registering the slave speakers, will be responsible for registering music source, which means you will assign one speaker as the music source. All the music will be uploaded here. Then you will assign one of the speaker as the announcement speaker. So all the announcement files, pre-recorded announcement files, text messages that you want to announce, you can type and announce that text message. All of this you can upload it to another second speaker. So basically the controller can control every other speaker in the system. Okay, so in the controller mode, you can you have device registration, which means you will register all the speakers as part of your system. Then source registration. You will register which speaker will act like the music source, which speaker will act like the announcement file source. Then zone registration. You can create and group multiple speakers as different zones. Then group we will see. Then event and preset. Okay, triggering. Basically, if there is an event alarm contact, you can trigger a preset and say these speakers should activate and play this music, something like that. You have annual scheduler for one whole year. You can schedule at what time, which music to be played, which announcement to be played. You can schedule all of this. Okay. Then source output device monitoring. From the controller mode, you can monitor the sources or the speaker outputs, whether the speaker is working fine or not, that you can monitor. Then button mode. Button mode is something, those who are familiar with the analog system, it will look like a mixer. The interface will look like a mixer. So, it's easy for you to just control the speaker system just like how they used to do in analog world. Okay, so it will look in the same format. Okay, so we will see that also in the coming slide. Okay, so another comparison. So, okay, in if you have a project, okay, remember if you have a project for let's say 100 speakers, okay, one of the speaker you will configure as controller. Then again, the second speaker will rest of them will be configured as just as speakers, normal speakers. Okay, so one of the speaker which is configured as a controller will um, will be responsible for scheduling the main control and other things. Okay, so in that particular mode, this guy may not be able to, that first speaker may not be responsible for, will not be responsible for background music or other things. Okay, the rest of the speakers you can use any one, and you can upload all the background music files. You can choose any other speaker and upload all the audio pre-recorded files. Okay, and you can I mean, and they can be controlled by the controller speaker for live announcements and music playing and other things. Okay, so if you have a speaker system of 100, one speaker you have to dedicate as controller. The remaining speakers you can use as your general audio system as part of the speaker system. Basically, they can be used for playing the music and announcements and integration with CCTV system for alarm output, alarm announcements, all of that you can do. Okay, so uh, speaker specifications, as we can see, it's all 8-inch and 96 to 99 with PoE plus. Actually, needs to be edited a bit. 100-degree coaxial coverage because it's a circular, so the coverage is 100 degree. Then uh, box speakers, the coverage is 180 degree, and the horn speaker, the key point is it is IP66. Okay, we'll come to this one later on. The watts is PoE or PoE plus is selectable, and by default all of them are 10 watts. 10 watts. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Okay, so speaker mode and control mode. Let's go through this once again. So if you have a project of 100 speakers, let's say one of the speaker will be turned on as a controller mode. Okay. Now, what all it can do? It can monitor devices. Okay, this is all fine. It can register the other speakers. That is okay. You have maintenance option. Basically, you can check the logs. That's okay. Then you have time settings and other things. That is okay. That is also fine. In the speaker mode alone, it can play background music. It can play announcements. Uh, it can take action based on contact closure and SIP and other things. Okay. So just keep this in mind for now. You don't have to memorize anything at the moment. There are two modes in the speaker, controller mode and speaker mode. Okay, if you have only one speaker in the project, you will be using it as a speaker mode. You will upload the file and it will play background music. You will upload a text announcement and you will click play, it will play the text announcement. From the web page, you will do it. But if you have multiple speakers, one speaker alone will be used as a manager, the rest will be slave. So based on that, one of the speaker will be turned on or activated as controller mode. Okay. So let's see, the default IP address of the speaker is 1.99. You log into the speaker and based on your user criteria, you have access. So there are different user criteria. So let's say admin is the main user. He has access to all the settings. Next, when you log in, first you go to the network setting and change your IP address as you require. You can also use device manager to discover all the speakers. Later on, you check the setting whether it is PoE or PoE plus. Okay. Then you have operation mode. Operation mode, you can here is this is what I mentioned, either as controller or speaker. Okay, controller or speaker. Next, PoE or PoE plus. So yeah, Ahmed, you asked about the question, right? Uh, the watts is 57 maximum. Okay, so we don't have that 70-watt concept in this one. Okay, all right. So PoE or PoE plus 30 watts maximum, and that this is just the current consumption. That's okay. So all the setting comes under environment setting. You select the power mode and the operation mode. Okay. Then once you change the mode, it will refresh. That's okay. Then you go to the this is fine. We'll see this later. Log is okay. System upgrade is okay. Okay. Next, we check the date and time. That also is fine. And in the speaker mode, okay, we will see that. Okay. Now comes audio file play and upload. So in the web page, as you can see, there is something called source file upload. You upload all the music files and then you can play it. But if you have multiple speakers, you can group them and you can play for that entire group from this source. So one of the speaker will have the audio files. Okay. Next, audio file streaming. You can also directly stream from the internet if you have. Then chime, okay, not important. Text to speech. You can type the text and then you can select the language, English, and gender male. So male voice will be generated based on what you type. So it will first create a chime sound, like let's say in a hospital, they want to announce uh, the next patient. First you will hear a sound, then the announcement will play, and then a closing sound. Let's say you are in the mall, you want to make an announcement for some lost item. First you click the button, initially there will be a chime to get the attention, then the text message will be played, and then uh, again there will be a chime to close that message. Okay. uh, okay, this is all is okay. Internal mic is, we will see this later. Scheduler, basically you have the calendar where you create schedules and you say which which at the schedule which all music should be played, one after the other. So basically you can do this. Okay, SIP we will see later. Controller mode. Okay. Now the main controller speaker. Okay, let's say going back to the project with 100 speaker and one of them is a controller speaker. So the main master speaker, you will register the other sub speakers, which is maybe in the other sub speakers, maybe some will be horn speaker, some will be ceiling speaker. It doesn't matter. Whatever speakers you have, you register it. That belongs to your system. Then after you have added all of them, you can assign which all speakers have the audio files. Maybe one of the speaker you uploaded all the background music. So you can go and say register the source. Okay, so speaker number one, IP address so and so, that is having all the music files. Then speaker number so and so, this is having all the text files, something like that. You will register all of this. So in order to do this, one IP speaker can be set only for a single type of source. To use background music, text announcement and annual scheduler, you need at least minimum 3 IP speakers in your project. Okay, so when you have a project with a group of speakers, you should consider at least 3 speakers. That's what it says. Okay, and why you need 3 speakers? If you want to do 3 functions: background music function, a scheduling function, and text to speech. Text to speech is you type the text message and the system will read that text message. Okay, computer generated voice. So if you don't want it, then it's okay. You can just use one speaker for background music, one for scheduler. If you don't want scheduler, you just need one speaker for background music. Okay, so for a best practice, you can follow the same. You need at least 3 speakers for your audio system. Zone registration. Okay, this is fine. Basically, you create up to 256 zones. Each speaker can be a zone, or you can have a zone with multiple speakers. Okay, that's fine. Then groups. Okay, groups is basically how do you put it? Let's say zones. Okay, so let's say for example, there are in your hotel project, you have let's say in the hotel project, every floor is zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. Okay, every floor, let's say the lift lobby and the corridor is every floor you have a zone. Okay, floor 1 zone, floor 2 zone, floor 3 zone. But at one point, let's say you want to make an announcement to all the floors. So you create a group and you add all the floor as a separate zone. So you say group 1, all corridors, okay, zones. So group 1 is all corridors. Under that all corridors, it will have, let's say, 10 floors. So 10 zones will belong to that group. So you can make an announcement to the entire group if you require. Okay, so question, if we have more than one zone and we need to open one zone and another zone is off, so this feature is available in the controller. Another zone if off. Okay, good point. I need to test this one and I can get back. So basically you're saying if I'm going to speak to zone 1, it should make sure zone 2, if it is active, zone 2 is off, or rest of the zone should be off before activating zone 1. Is that right? At the moment, I need to check this, Ahmed. I've not tested that part yet. Okay, I'll take down your question, then I can update you. So this is the button mode that I was talking about. You can see here which zones are now activated. Okay, so at the moment when you're saying automatically it should deactivate the other zone, actually what it does here in the button mode you can see different zones, right? If that particular zone is s- active or some communication is going on, you can actually just click stop. So you can do that manually, but whether it can be done automatically, I need to check. Okay, so yeah, so you can click on the zones, then you can click on the audio source and you click play. So here, follow the number, S- select source. Source is okay. I want to play music. Okay, click on the source. Under that source, there are multiple audio files. So you can select which all audio files. Okay, select that. Then select which all zones that audio file should be played. Okay, all the zones. Okay, done. Then click on play button, or you can say start broadcast. It will just play. Simple. Okay. So you can hear here also there is a play button. You can click on that, or you can click on this play button here. Okay. If you want to speak to a group, so 1 to 10 zones, you can click on the zone directly. Sorry, on the group directly instead of zones, and then click broadcast also. So here, these two pictures are basically, if you select background music, you have a drop down menu to select which music file. If you have a text to speech, you have a drop down menu to select which text to speech file. Okay, so it depends on uh, which red button you click. First button is background music, second button is text to speech, based on what you click. And you can have multiple background music source. Maybe one speaker has 1 GB full of music, another speaker has another 1 GB. You can have multiple background music source. Up to 24 source you can have. Can we add Azan as make it automatically? I mean integration with Azan. Okay. Okay, let me, it's a very, very useful application. Um, it's better that I go and get it confirmed and before I reply to you. I think that would be better. So this is the first webinar, so definitely good questions. I will ask and get back to you about this one. How we can make this happen. We have integration with the online streaming source, or whether how we can integrate with prayer timing to make the prayer uh, s- system to work. I will check and update you. Okay. So yeah, back to this one. On the source file, I have selected one speaker as a background music source. So that IP address is here. When you go to that IP address, all the music files have been uploaded. If you have one more speaker, you can also configure it as a background music source and you can upload all the music files. Now, to how do you make a particular speaker as a background music source? That is the source registration. In the controller mode speaker, you can go and select which speaker is the music source, which speaker is a text source. Okay, so based on that, you can upload all the files. Okay, next is the monitoring status. Here you can check the status of each speaker. That is okay. Then network status. That's okay. Then event and preset. Basically, event. Event is normally open. Uh, dry contact. You can take an action. Uh, for example, I want to play certain music for so and so time, so that you can do event and action. Annual scheduler is basically schedules. You can create multiple schedules for multiple activities like announcements and musics and zones, all that you can do in the annual scheduler option. Okay, when you have more than 256 speaker, you will have to buy this server, that one rack unit server you will buy, and you will do the same thing which you are doing in the controller mode of the speaker. You will log into the server and you could do the same thing. So just remember, this server you have to buy from us. One SPA S100. So how does it look? Let me just take you back. this is the server. Okay, this is the controller server. So when you have more than 256 speakers, include this as a BOQ item, and then rest of the speaker as normal speakers. Okay, so I have the questions that I have to get back to you on. Just allow me a few days to get back to you on these questions, and we'll be in touch. If you have any further questions, just let me know, and I can assist you further. But other than that, that's all for today. How you can design the speaker system, what are the different types of speakers available. You don't have to worry. Just if your project require 100 speakers, take 100 speakers. If you require 500 speakers, take 500 and one audio server. Simple. You can follow the same coverage drawing, roughly 10 meters. You can say, let me just a second. The ceiling speakers are roughly 8 meters. If your ceiling speaker is installed at 2.5-meter normal ceiling height, roughly ceiling speaker will cover uh, 8 meters, and the box and horn speakers will be around 9 meters. But if you give BOE plus, you can jump to 1.5 times. So it will be 8 into 1.5 times or 9 into 1.5 times. So around like 14 meters, something like that. Okay. So any further questions, let me know. I have a set of questions already that I have to get back to, and I'll get back to you ASAP on this. So that brings us to the end of today's session. Feel free to disconnect anytime. Once I'll be online for a few more minutes to take any further questions. Ahmed, maybe I can unmute you. You can, if you have any other questions, let me know. I can take it down and get back to you in one go. Okay, so there are no further questions. We can disconnect for now. Thank you so much. Have a nice day.